Let me start with this one. It's simple, free, and incredibly powerful. Taking a 15-minute walk each morning before breakfast. I know it might sound too basic to matter, but the truth is, after 60, our bodies don't recover, move, or burn energy the way they used to. Your metabolism naturally slows down, and when daily movement drops, especially in the morning, it can trigger a chain of issues. Your blood sugar gets harder to manage, muscle loss accelerates, and testosterone production drops. And that's not just about libido, it's about strength, clarity, and even how well you sleep. I want to say this clearly. You don't need to run marathons to feel strong again, but you do need motion, and the first movement of the day sets the tone for all the rest. I started recommending morning walks to my clients almost 20 years ago, after watching my own father's health decline sharply in retirement. He went from being a brisk, get-things-done kind of man to someone who stayed in his robe until noon. Not because he was lazy, but because the structure was gone. Then I met Ron. Ron is 67, lives outside of Pittsburgh, and used to be an engineer. Smart guy, responsible, never missed a day of work in his life. But after retiring, he told me, "Doc, I just sort of stalled out." He gained nearly 25 pounds, was diagnosed with high blood pressure, and felt tired all the time. His doctor prescribed medication, but Ron asked me for something he could do, something that didn't just treat the symptoms, but gave him back some control. I told him to try one thing. Before breakfast, even before coffee, put on his shoes and go outside for a short walk. No phone, no pressure, just walk. He started with 5 minutes around the block. 2 weeks later, it was 15 minutes with walking poles down the greenway near his house. 3 months in, he told me, "It's the one part of my day I feel fully awake, like I'm still in charge." His energy came back, his blood pressure dropped, and his outlook shifted. All because he got outside before breakfast. What helps most men stay consistent is treating it like brushing your teeth. Not optional, not negotiable, just something you do. The easiest way to begin is to keep your shoes ready by the door night before, lay out a jacket if it's cold, and make your first task of the day stepping outside. Even walking up and down your driveway or around the block counts. If you've got a park nearby, great. If not, just walk down your street. The key is, don't wait for motivation. Let the walk create it. Doing this before eating also taps into how your metabolism resets itself in the morning. It helps regulate blood sugar and hormones, especially insulin and testosterone. You don't need a smartwatch, just a pair of shoes and a promise to yourself. And here's the thought I want to leave you with. Your body may be older, but it still listens to you. It's not broken. It's waiting for a signal that you're still in command. That signal doesn't have to be loud or grand. It can be the quiet rhythm of your steps on the sidewalk at 7 a.m. while the world is just waking up. Walking doesn't solve everything, but it reminds your body and your mind that you're not done leading, not yet, not today. Of all the habits I've seen help men over 60 regain a sense of control and confidence, one of the most underrated is this: keeping a simple daily notebook. And I don't mean a diary or some elaborate planner. I'm talking about a plain notebook, the kind you keep where you drink your morning coffee, and every day you just write a few lines. It sounds small, but here's what I've learned after years working with older men. When you lose structure, you lose momentum. Thoughts start to spiral, emotions feel heavier, and your sense of direction begins to blur. Many men tell me they feel foggy, more forgetful, or irritated for no clear reason. And often, it's not that anything big is wrong. It's just that they haven't had a place to land their thoughts. Without that landing zone, your brain keeps spinning, and the day runs you instead of you running it. I remember a patient named Frank, 72, from Dayton, Ohio. He was a retired auto mechanic, worked with his hands for over 40 years, always up. At 6, always had a task to do. Then his wife passed away after a long illness, and for a while, Frank didn't really know what to do with himself. He told me it wasn't just the grief, it was the silence. He'd find himself staring at the wall, unsure what day it was, forgetting whether he'd eaten. His granddaughter came by one morning, noticed how disoriented he seemed, and brought him an old-school composition notebook. She said, "Grandpa, just write something every day, anything." At first, Frank resisted. He thought it was silly. But the next morning after breakfast, he wrote, "Didn't sleep well. Going to try to rake the leaves." That was it. The next day, he added a memory about working on an old Chevy. The day after that, he wrote a question. "Why do I feel so tired lately?" Within 2 weeks, he was using the notebook every morning. He started listing small goals. Walk around the block, call Mike, boil some eggs. A month in, Frank told me, it's like I have a map again. And that's exactly it. The notebook gave him a sense of internal direction when everything else felt scattered. What often helps is keeping things incredibly simple. You don't need prompts or a journal app or anything fancy. Just grab a lined notebook, keep it where you usually sit in the morning, and each day write 3 to 5 lines. That's it. You can write how you slept, how your body feels, something that's bothering you, or something you want to remember. You can jot down one thing you'd like to do today, even something small like trim my nails or call Joe. What matters is that the notebook becomes your anchor, a place where your mind knows it can check in each day. You'll be surprised how that little habit clears mental clutter and helps you feel more in control, more stable, more you. Let me say this clearly. You're not fading, and you're not finished. You are a man with a lifetime of stories and strength behind you, and that notebook, as modest as it seems, can be the space where you remind yourself who you are. It's not about writing perfectly or saying anything profound. It's about showing up for yourself each morning, quietly and consistently. And even that small act, putting pen to paper, is a way of saying, I'm still here and I still matter. Another habit I've seen make a real difference, one that's often underestimated, is removing just one harmful food from your daily routine and doing it for good. As we age, our bodies stop forgiving what they used to tolerate. You might have gotten away with soda, fried snacks, or store-bought pastries in your 30s or 40s, but after 60, those same foods don't just make you gain a few pounds. They raise your blood sugar, add fat around your liver, trigger inflammation, and strain your heart. The hard truth is, the older we get, the more every bite counts. And I don't say that to scare you. I say it because I've seen how one small food change can lead to big shifts in how you feel, move, sleep, and even think. You don't need a strict diet. You don't need to give up everything. But you do need to be honest with yourself. What are you eating that you know is dragging you down? Let me tell you about Bob. He's 64 and used to drive buses in Phoenix for nearly 30 years. He came to me after complaining of pain near his ribs, constant fatigue, and digestive issues that made him nervous. Bob told me he drank at least 2 cans of cola a day, sometimes more, and loved eating packaged sausages and white bread toast every morning. For years, he figured it was just part of who he was. I'm a simple guy, Doc. I eat what I like. But things started to change when his doctor flagged early signs of pancreatic stress and rising liver enzymes. The real turning point came when his physician told him, gently but clearly, either you make a change now or we're talking about potential surgery later. That got his attention. We sat down and talked through his habits. Not everything, just one, the sodas. That day, Bob decided to cut out sweet drinks completely. No diet sodas, no juice, no, just a little. Instead, he started drinking water with lemon and occasionally sparkling water when he wanted a little fizz. At first, he missed the sugar rush, but within 2 weeks, his digestion improved. 4 weeks in, he noticed his afternoon energy came back. His pants fit better. But most important, his mindset changed. One good decision gave him the confidence to take the next step. A few months later, he swapped the sausage breakfasts for scrambled eggs and fresh fruit. Not because someone forced him, but because he felt the difference and didn't want to go back. What often helps men stay on track is focusing on just one food item they know is a problem and letting that be enough. It might be soda, store-bought, pastries, salty processed meats, or even nightly ice cream. You don't need to overhaul your life in one day. Just pick the one that feels obvious, the one you've had a gut feeling about for years, and commit to removing it completely. Replace it with something simple and satisfying: sparkling water instead of soda, oatmeal instead of boxed cereal, a handful of nuts instead of cookies. The goal isn't to eat perfectly, it's to make one smart choice that helps your body work better. You're not giving something up, you're claiming something back. Food is fuel, yes, but it's also a message you send to your body. I'm still taking care of you. That one decision, just one, can become a signal, a turning point, a small door that leads to a much stronger version of yourself. You don't need to be young to eat with purpose. You just need to know you're worth feeding right. Something else I've seen make a real impact, especially for men over 60, is setting a fixed day each week for a personal phone call. One call. Not to a call center, not to a doctor, not to ask for anything. Just a real voice-to-voice check-in with someone you care about. Why does this matter so much? Because loneliness is one of the most dangerous, most underestimated health risks for older adults. We talk a lot about diet, sleep, and exercise, and all of that's important. But isolation quietly chips away at your energy, mood, even your memory. Studies show that social isolation after 60 can be just as harmful as smoking or high blood pressure. And it doesn't always come with sadness or tears. It can creep in as silence, as days without a single meaningful conversation. And you might not even notice it until you feel slower, more anxious, or less like yourself. If you've ever gone a full week without a real exchange, without anyone asking how you are or just laughing with you, then you know what I mean. I started recommending the weekly trust call after working with a retired teacher named Michael, age 70, from Des Moines. He came in for fatigue and mild depression, but physically, his health looked okay. No major red flags. But when we talked, he admitted something that stuck with me. He said, "I used to talk to people all day. Now, days go by and I barely say more than a few words out loud." He'd lost his wife 5 years earlier, didn't have kids, and, though he had friends from work, they'd all drifted apart. I asked him if he'd be willing to try something. Every Saturday morning, pick one person and just call them. No agenda, no need to fix anything. Just say, "Hey, how are you?" The first few weeks, he told me, felt awkward. One guy didn't answer. Another seemed surprised. But by week 4, something shifted. He reconnected with an old colleague named Pete, who was also going through a quiet season. Then he called his cousin Mark. Then a former student reached out after seeing his number pop up. That one habit turned into a small web of connection. He started looking forward to Saturday mornings again. Not because he was lonely, but because he had something that felt meaningful to offer. Now, Michael has 3 guys he regularly checks in with, and he says that's made a bigger difference than any pill he's ever taken. What often helps is picking a day of the week and sticking to it like a ritual. Friday afternoon, Saturday morning, or Sunday evening. Just one phone call. It could be to your son, your brother, an old friend from the army, or even someone you haven't spoken to in years. You don't need to wait for the right moment or a special reason. The act of reaching out is reason enough. Keep it simple, 10 minutes, 15 at most. Ask how they've been, share a small story from your week, and just let the conversation breathe. You don't need to fix anything. You just need to show up with your voice. Here's what I've learned. Your voice is powerful. It carries your presence, your warmth, your strength, and people miss it more than they say. A single call may not seem like much, but it can be a lifeline for them and for you. Just like muscles, connection needs to be used to stay strong, and it's never too late to rebuild. Even one steady line, once a week, is enough to remind your heart that it's not alone and that being heard still matters. One more habit I often recommend, especially to men who tell me their days feel blurry or flat, is what I call a gesture of order. It might sound small, but it's surprisingly powerful. It's the act of doing one deliberate thing every morning that tells your brain, I'm awake, I'm present, I'm still the one steering the wheel. For many older men, retirement or living alone creates long stretches without structure. Nobody needs you to clock in. Nobody notices if you shave or change clothes. That sounds like freedom at first, but what it often turns into is a slow loss of identity. Without anchors in your day, time starts to melt together. And when you lose routine, you often lose momentum. That's why this tiny morning gesture matters more than you'd think. It's not about looking sharp for someone else. It's about reminding yourself right at the start of the day that you're still showing up with dignity and direction. I had a client years ago named Elvin, 66, retired Navy, lived alone in North Carolina. He came to see me not because of a specific illness, but because he felt like he'd faded. Those were his words. I don't feel bad, he said. I just don't feel much. He'd stopped setting an alarm. He wasn't eating at regular times. Most mornings he stayed in pajama pants until noon. Nobody saw him, so he figured it didn't matter. But what he didn't notice was how that lack of routine was quietly draining him. I asked him, "What's something you used to do every morning?" "Without fail?" "Without thinking," he said. "Cold water shave, pressed shirt, polished shoes, even on weekends." That was from his Navy days. I suggested he bring one of those habits back, just one. He decided to start with washing his face with cold water and putting on a clean shirt every morning, even if he wasn't going anywhere. At first, he laughed about it, said he felt like he was play acting, but within a week he noticed something had shifted. "I start the day feeling like myself again," he told me. A few weeks later, he added a little polish to his shoes. Not for anyone else, just for him. That was the beginning of getting his rhythm back. Meals, exercise, even calling a few friends. All from one small act each morning. What often helps is choosing a single action and repeating it every day, no matter what. It doesn't have to be complicated or dramatic. You could shave, wear your belt, do 10 push-ups, shine your boots, or even just make your bed with intention. The key is consistency. One gesture, same time each day. Keep it sacred. If you miss a day, no guilt. Just get back to it the next. Let it become your signal to your mind. I'm still present. I still take care of things, and I don't need the world to see it for it to matter. And here's what I'd like you to remember. Even if nobody else is watching, you are. That quiet decision to dress, move, or clean something is your daily handshake with yourself. It's proof that you haven't disappeared. You haven't gone soft. You're still here, and you're still choosing to show up. Not because you have to, because you can. And sometimes, all it takes to restart the engine is one small move that says, let's go. If even one of these habits resonated with you, let us know in the comments. We read every message, and your experience might inspire someone else. Subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss our next videos. Around here, it's all simple, but real. You're not alone, you're stronger than you think, and you can still eat like a man and live with an appetite for every day.